So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal link in the description box, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Also, leave us a thumbs up. It helps us get more views.
We have breaking news, not just from Roger, but from my other sources, of how Trump is now being isolated inside of the White House ahead of his removal from office. And that, of course, is a coup d'etat. Now, I learned this information yesterday afternoon. I called Roger. He was also getting the similar intel from White House sources, including as high as you can pretty much get. I'm going to leave it at that. And then I saw the headline, Kelly cracks down on West Wing back channels to Trump. They want no one to communicate with him but them. And he had some very important conversations yesterday, very lengthy, important conversations. Now, I got off the phone at about 11:30 at night, and I got in bed with my tablet, my laptop, my iPad, whatever you want to call the stupid thing, and I began doing some final surfing, and guess what I saw pop up in the news feed? Establishment news, they force feed you when you fire up the iPad. Exactly what I had just been talking to Stone about and when I had been talking to my other source at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Kelly cracks down on West Wing back channels to Trump. Now, remember, when we give you these sources information, we're not making it up. That's why we told you Trump would announce no expansion of the war, no plan to topple Assad. 3 days later, he said those exact words back in April. That's why we told you that Flynn would be out and that would be McMaster. Just like we told you last week, 4 days before it broke, specifically that Priebus would be out by the end of the week and that General Kelly was in the front running to be chief of staff. And the reason this matters is there's a battle for the heart and soul of the Trump White House and the Trump presidency right now. And we, and by extension, you, the listeners and viewers who we're interfacing with, are the American resistance to this. Now, this piece of news out of Politico that broke last night is just more confirmation of what our sources were telling us. But again, these sources are so high level, you couldn't get a better source of White House information. Now, that said, the media has gone from freaking out about those sources and giving us a lot of attention because they know we have those sources to total silence on it. Because they don't have the sources and the source we have. And they're upset about it. Now, the information I've got is so big that I don't even know how to properly break it all down. I was pretty tired at 11:30 when I climbed into bed. I'd been up since 6 a.m., but I couldn't go to sleep for about 3 hours after I had all this information. I got back out of bed, went down to the kitchen table, sat there and read news and wrote notes for 3 hours. Then I went to bed about 2:30 in the morning, ended up oversleeping. I never sleep till 9 in the morning. I slept till 9 this morning. And as soon as I got up, I just got in the shower, and I'm just still having the same conversation that I have with myself with you. I don't know what to do about this. And I'm not 100% sure what all this means, but in Roger's words, in his text message to me at 11 at night when he was finally ready to talk to me, or 10:30, was this is 7 days in May. Now, that's a Burt Lancaster movie where the Pentagon, a group of generals, decided to have a soft coup against the president. And then I got on the phone with him and basically was told the same information that I got from my sources, but his source was even more high level. And I'm just going to stop right there. 7 days in May 1964, Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas, powerful film. We ought to do a review of 7 Days in May. I think we've done one before, 5 or 6 years ago. But we're not watching a movie about a military coup. We are in it. What did Rush Limbaugh say last week? We played the clip. You can pull up the headline. Rush Limbaugh, headline, Democrats are contacting generals to plan a coup. That was the headline. Generals are being contacted by the Democrats in deep state to plot a coup. That's Rush Limbaugh. 20 million listeners a day. The mouth of the not completely traitorous Republican Party. Blue blood, elitist, but still free market, not out to destroy the country. And then you've got the neocon rhinos in bed with the Democrats. They're cancer. You've got Sean Hannity saying that word for word. There's a plan to overthrow the president. But forget Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh. You have Al Gore, you have Brennan, you have Clapper, all on TV last week, days after a top evangelical pastor who met with the president for hours, met with senior members of Congress for hours, and they told him they're shopping a plan to overthrow the president and contacting former and current generals to help them carry it out. That's how you do it. They had the McCormick-Dickstein committee hearings back in the late 1930s about how Smedley Butler, Commandant of the Marine Corps, two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner, was contacted by the Bushes, by Prescott Bush and Brown Brother Harriman and a Nazi group, and asked to overthrow Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And then they said no. And then they didn't punish the plotters because they thought it would bring the country down. It was so dangerous and so painful and so treacherous and stretched into some of the most powerful families in the country, including the Kennedys. Yes, the Kennedys early on were on the Nazi payroll. That is a fact. They were in bed with the sex operatives. They were getting paid off. But back then, Hitler was seen as good in the mid-30s. Joseph Kennedy and the rest of it. They were seen as anti-communist. Time magazine, was saying Hitler's the greatest guy. The liberals loved him. He was for eugenics and sterilizing the minorities and a vegetarian and animal rights activist. I mean, he followed the whole template. But I digress. We're looking at a more organized operation. And I don't know if Kelly and Mattis are in on it. I don't know if they're, quote, isolating the president to, quote, protect him from a coup. He seems to trust him, and he's got good instincts. Or whether they're playing a double game. But they are isolating him and not letting anybody get info to him. I'm not going to name names here. And they're quoted in the news like he's some mentally ill, mentally retarded, cousin you keep in the attic or the basement. And about, yeah, he kind of goes with whatever. He put out that disinfo, Politico says, quoting the general. And Politico's such fake news. Who knows if the general even said that? General Kelly, his chief of staff, that he was being spied on by Obama. He just got that. It was in the New York Times. They said they were spying on him. They have the intercepts now of the attorney general. They have the intercepts of his family. They were spying. They bragged they were spying. And you've got them saying, because, the president's dumb. He'll say any disinfo he gets told. Somebody told him. And somebody gave him a Breitbart article saying he was being spied on. And so now he's gone off half-cocked. Breitbart showed a screenshot like we did, days after we did, of the New York Times saying wiretaps picked it up. So see, remember all that? They were saying, oh, we're spying. Trump goes, that's illegal. They go, we never spied. You're crazy. It's only in hundreds of newspapers, and we only quoted it on CNN and Fox News, and we only had congressional hearings about it, and they're only using the intercepts now and leaking them everywhere, selectively edited. They're only leaking all his phone calls with world leaders right now. Oh, but they think you're so stupid that they're saying he's crazy. But don't worry, General Kelly will make sure none of that information gets to Trump. And then McMaster, the head of the national security, he will fire anybody that talks about globalism to the president on his staff that writes papers about radical Islam and globalism being allied against America, which it is, and which Bannon has exposed, well, guess what? It's now come out that McMaster will fire anybody that talks about it or is an anti-globalist. So what do you call this? Formerly the CIA that Trump fired, shades of Kennedy firing the CIA director and getting killed a year later. You have him saying, don't worry about impeachment. We're about to remove him in the next few months. It's going to be bipartisan, and we've all got to work together. And they're calmly on TV talking about it so everyone accepts it when it happens. They've got all these movies and TV shows and dramas where the president's killed, and then there is a succession. And you've got major publications talking about what happens when the president gets killed and how COG kicks in and how, don't worry, the Democrats, the failing, collapsing party with the Republican leadership that's sabotaging their own party by design, how they are going to come in and reorganize things and have new elections, and magically the Democrats are going to win. They're not going to let us have the 2018 election that's going to only reaffirm populist and Trumpites and Ron Paul types and info warriors. They know that we just took control of the vast majority of state houses and governorships. They know we're taking control of the Supreme Court and other federal courts. They know we're going to get gains in Congress. So the headlines are Republicans turning on Trump. Trump's going down. Trump has low approval rating. Trump's a traitor. But all the patriots, from Lou Dobbs to myself to Sean Hannity to Rush Limbaugh to Matt Drudge, anybody that knows the facts, are telling you, look, the Democrat think tanks are saying overthrow Trump. Now they've moved from saying it in the think tanks to saying it on the news. And imagine if Republicans were out here saying, go after Obama when he was in, kill Obama, overthrow Obama. It would have been the end of the world. But we knew he was unpopular. We knew we were going to intellectually beat them. We didn't want him to be hurt. And that's what's crazy, is that they are buying into the propaganda that they can kill Trump or remove Trump and not turn him into a martyr. The Senate Republican leadership has always been a bunch of blue blood scum. They're the ones whose heads are on the chopping block. They're the ones who helped pass Obamacare, the monumental screw job. And you've got Flake and McMaster and others out promoting globalism. You've got people in the Trump administration on the inside. You've got senators out promoting New World Order right as it quakes and shakes and prepares to collapse.
If you're interested to learn how to create content and spread content, we'll show you how. Go to the Operation How YouTube channel, click on the About button, and then click Message. Send us an email. If you want to engage, become an info warrior, we will train you up.
If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below the video to get notified when the latest new content drops.
Keep us in your prayers. We get a lot of resistance for putting these videos out, but to Yahweh be the glory.